Hi everyone, welcome, good morning, or good afternoon for probably a lot of you. It's around 11 a.m. for me, so it is the morning still. I have my coffee, very cute, says I am grateful for. So I'll wait a second for everyone to hop on. Feel free to grab some coffee, some water. This is going to be a lot longer than my typical videos just because I'm going over a lot of really exciting information today. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, it is the 5-step roadmap to starting your dream blogging biz or your dream blog. It is a masterclass. I'm going through the 5 steps that you need to basically execute to be able to have a fabulous blog launch where you already have hype, you already have people checking out your blog, to get on the path to monetization, to get really solid in terms of growth, and to just feel really confident and to feel like you're creating a blog with intention versus just hoping that once you hit publish, things will fall in place for you, because that's not exactly how it works. So I'm going over all the secrets, all the things. I'm super excited. Hi, Meg, welcome. If you do hop on live, please let me know, say hello. A reminder for those of you who do hop on live and stay till the end, you will be entered automatically into a raffle for a free one-on-one 30-minute call with me. And I love doing those, like I said yesterday in that live. I love being able to connect with you guys, especially getting down to those like nitty-gritty details of the specifics around what you need in terms of your blogging career. So stay on. I'll announce that winner later. I am going to wait another second to see who can hop on, and then we will just dive right in. I tried to do a screen share. Let me see if I'm able to do it after. I think that you have to like just do the screen share the entire time, so you guys wouldn't have been able to see my face at all, but that's okay. I really wanted to do it here in the group just so more people could see it and you guys would have an easier time than having to like create a Zoom account. So that's all right. We'll deal with it. No screen share, but that's okay. You'll just have to deal with my face. I'm going to have a sip of my water and we'll get started. Okay. So for those of you who are new to the group, welcome. My name is Sheila Smyers. I am a fashion and lifestyle blogger based in San Francisco. I have been blogging for about 6 years, and I recently, well, not recently, it's been a second, but I became a professional blogger, and I work for myself as of about a year ago. So super exciting stuff. I also have a blogging, sorry, I have notes here too, so FYI, I'll be looking down a little bit, but I am also a blogging success coach, so I work with tons of different women who are aspiring bloggers who really want to skip all the hassle. They want to get over the overwhelm and the frustration and the confusion of learning all of these new skill sets and trying to figure out this industry that's fairly new and that there isn't really a guide to. So I help women turn their blogs into their businesses so they can quit their 9-to-5 and work for themselves. So that's a little bit about me. I'll keep it brief. That's not what we're here for, but just in case you're curious. Let's see. Okay, so the 5-step roadmap essentially is going to go over a couple different things. So we're going to go over goal setting, which is the first thing that you're going to do, and we're going to be going over each step pretty in depth. So if you have a piece of paper, I would probably take notes. If you're watching the replay, obviously you can go back, and if you are watching live, you can go back and watch the replay as well. It's going to be available for you guys so you can kind of really digest this information fully. And again, if you're hopping on in the middle, whatever the case may be, definitely say hello and feel really free to ask any questions or if anything comes up so I can help you out. So we're going to be going over goal setting, setting the foundation of your blog, creating killer content, growth is the goal, and we're going to be talking about how to monetize like a boss. So I am super, super excited. All topics I love. So we'll just dive in for the first step on the 5-step roadmap, which is becoming a goal setter. I thought that was pretty clever. Instead of like goal digger, goal setter. You guys get it? You get it. Okay, so essentially, like the thing that I see a lot of women do, or a lot of people do when they want to start a blog, is that they have this great idea, they're excited about it, they have all this enthusiasm, they decide to start it, they find a website, they just do it, they hit publish, and then crickets, right? And they don't really have a plan in place. They're wondering why their blog isn't taking off. They're wondering why, like, hey, like I did it, like my blog is up, like why aren't more people looking at it? There's no one looking at my page, I'm not getting any followers, etc. So a lot of the time, the problem with that, the root of it, is that they just didn't plan ahead, right? They weren't planful enough. They didn't think about what results they wanted to get. They didn't think about where they want their blog to go. And again, if you're someone who's blogging as a hobby and it's very casual for you and you have no intention of growing your blog in any way or of monetizing it in the future, then this probably isn't the masterclass for you. But if you're someone who hopes to be able to write professionally and make this your full-time gig and work for yourself and live that awesome laptop lifestyle, then you gotta go into this with a business mindset as well as that mindset of passion and excitement for writing. So you have to start with getting some really solid goals in place. And because I can't screen share with Facebook Live, I'm gonna, I think I'll just upload a bunch of the files I was gonna show you guys. So there are worksheets and things like that. So there's a goal setter one, and there's also a ton of other free resources in the files tab if you're new to the group as well. Okay, so when we're goal setting, a couple things I like to ask of my clients and ask of myself when I'm thinking of a new goal is, first, I like to look at the big picture and then kind of break it down, right? So let's think, how do you want your blog to change your life? And that might sound really cheesy and like, okay, but really think about it. Like, it doesn't have to be this big, huge transformation, but think about the ways that you want this blog to positively impact your life. Do you want to quit your job and do this full time? Do you want to be able to supplement your income so you can travel more? Are you hoping to eventually write a book and this is going to be a great place to start? Thinking about how this is going to impact your life and how you want it to is going to be able to really easily shape those goals that we're going to be thinking about here in a moment. And I think the important thing too is just to set benchmarks, and I don't want to say deadlines because that sounds kind of harsh, but just thinking about setting up a game plan with those goals attached to it. And the reason why, like, I don't like to make anyone feel too hard on themselves, especially with blogging, because it's a new thing. A lot of people who are doing it have never done anything like it. It's so much to learn. It's tech, it's writing, it's SEO, it's marketing, it's all of these things. And so I don't like to place these heavy deadlines on people to say, like, you have to get this up and running by then, because then the fun is taken out of it. It can feel really overwhelming. And with any entrepreneurial pursuit, it's really easy to start to feel kind of bad about yourself, right? And to start to kind of feel like, I'm not doing enough, and I should have gotten this done, but I was so tired. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, I don't want you guys to ever be in that mindset. I still experience that from time to time. It's just something that I have to work through. And I have to remind myself that, like, it's okay if I don't reach this goal, or it's okay if I don't make this deadline that I set for myself. That being said, I do think it's important to kind of have benchmarks and goals in mind, because you can't hit a target you can't see, right? So if you are going into this blogging world blind in hopes that something will happen and exciting things will happen and it'll be great and fabulous, without any sort of structured goals of like how many people you want to be following you on social media, how many page views do you want in the first month, things like that, that will keep you moving forward and will create progress automatically within your business, are the important factors, right? And if you don't have those, you're kind of just doing things blindly without any sort of focus or goal. And if you want this to be your business, you have to treat it like one, right? So keep that in mind. So when we're thinking about the goals, I want you guys to start breaking them down. And if you've done any of my challenges with me or anything with me at all, I talk about this a lot. And it's something I learned partially from my coach, which is breaking down your goals into 3 different categories. So one is lifestyle. So how do you want your lifestyle to change? How do you want to wake up in the morning, and like, what do you want your life to look like? Do you want to be someone who only works a couple hours a week eventually? Do you want to be someone who, again, is doing this full time? Do you want to be someone who's a travel blogger who just grabs their laptop and hits the road and goes wherever and can work from wherever? Are you someone who wants to be spending more time with your children or your family, or, you know, focusing on going back to school? Like, thinking about how this is going to change your life, what you want your schedule to look like, how much money you want to make. That's a fun one to answer. Thinking just about like, what in my life will change, or what do I want in my life to change as a result of pursuing this blog. So thinking about lifestyle goals, and again, those are going to be pretty personal. So it can be literally anything. I think when I first started, I was like, I want to quit my job. That was the first thing. And I want to create my own schedule. I want to be my own boss, which are pretty broad goals, but those were the main lifestyle goals. And then eventually I got a little bit more specific. Like, I want to be able to have this much set aside every month for shopping. I want to be able to get my nails done without feeling guilty, like different things like that. If you are watching live with me, or if you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments right now exactly what kind of goals you're thinking for lifestyle. I'd love to hear it. So let me know, like, what would you like to see change about your lifestyle as a result of blogging professionally? I'm going to take a sip of my water while you do that. So let me know, and then I'll go back and take a look at those. And then the next category that you want to think when it comes to goaling is income, which again, kind of fun. We kind of touched on that in lifestyle, but really thinking not only the amounts that you want to make monthly, but I would break it up into like 3 months, 6 months, and then a year. So in 3 months, how much do you want to be earning from your blog? And some of you might be like, whoa, that sounds crazy. Like I can't imagine myself earning anything, but that's also not a great attitude, first of all. Second of all, it's more than possible. It may not be a ton. It may not be like thousands and thousands of dollars, but I think it is more than reasonable if you're really putting in the effort to say, like, in 3 months, I want to be earning $200 a month for my blog. That would be pretty cool, you guys. Like, that would probably pay, for me, that would pay my car payment. Like, thinking about what you could pay with that money and thinking about how you can kind of get momentum. Again, it's a goal that you have in mind. It's something you're going to be working towards. Whereas if you're like, I'm just never going to make any money from this, it's going to take me years to do it, then that's going to be your truth. Whereas if you're like, I'm going to start earning $200 a month in 3 months from my blog, then that will be your truth. And he says, eventually quit my job. I get it, girl. I was at work dying. Some of you guys know, because you've been with me for a while, that I was a store manager at a Victoria's Secret. I had a bunch of different management roles, and I did like it. Obviously, Victoria's Secret sounds like a fun place to work, and it is, but it was also extremely demanding, a lot of long hours, a lot of long days and nights, crazy schedule, always changing, and just very stressful and exhausting. So I could not wait to get out. So hang in there. It is 100% worth it. Cool. So I'm thinking about income goals. We're breaking those down by month, and then also thinking kind of like where you want that income to come from. And we'll talk about that in step 5 in terms of monetization. But I would think like, okay, do I feel really good about affiliate marketing? Do I feel really good about brand sponsorships? Do I want to write a book someday? Do I have, an Etsy shop that I really want to promote through my blog? Like kind of thinking and starting to brainstorm. And just because we're planning it out like this, you guys, doesn't mean that immediately you need to be promoting and immediately you need to be monetizing and immediately you need to be making money, because you're going to set yourself up for disappointment, right? I'm talking about being able to say, okay, I'm starting this blog. I'm going to set up the systems that I need in place to scale quickly, because there's nothing worse than all of a sudden having, like, for example, like what if you have a post go viral, or what if you have something go, like, a brand reach out to you and you're just not ready and you're scrambling and you don't have any ads on your website, or you don't have like any way to monetize this amazing traffic. So instead of waiting until after you have the traffic, kind of having these systems already set up in place, because then you will instantly start earning money versus having to backtrack and figure out how you can take advantage of traffic that's already come and gone, if that makes sense. May says, absolutely, 200 a month would be a great start, right? That's what I started out with. I was like, when I first hit that, I was like, this is the best day ever. I thought it was so cool. I was like, I paid my car payment, like it's just like a nice cushion, and you just feel so much more confident. And once you start making money like that, like anything more, it just feels so much more attainable. So I think it's more than possible. Okay, and then the third and final category in terms of goaling is going to be growth goals, which is, like I said, I go over, I think it's in step 3, growth is the goal. Like that's obviously the point of blogging, is that people are reading your stuff. So you want people to be seen, you want to grow your audience on social media, you want higher page views, you want that traffic to be consistent, because not only does it help grow your audience, obviously, but it's also going to help a lot with monetization. Monetization does not exist without growth. So the two are BFFs. Growth comes before, and then we monetize, but we should still have those systems set up in place, like I said. But growth is going to be the thing that's your main focus, because it impacts monetization. It helps you obviously become, increase your popularity. More people are reading your things. So always going to be focusing on growth. So I would break those down into social media, and same thing as we did with income. So think of a 3 month, a 6 month, and a year. So like in 3 months, how many followers do I want on social media? Maybe you want 1,000 followers on Instagram. You can be as specific as possible. Okay, so I want 1,000 followers on Instagram by the end of the next 3 months. So then break it down by month, and then you have a monthly goal. You can even break it down by week or day if you want, and really focus that way. And it makes it a lot more attainable, because 1,000 sounds like a lot. But if you break it down, like let's just do this together real quick. Okay. So that's about 333 per month. It's around 11 people per day. 11 new followers per day does not sound hard at all, right? So breaking down those goals so they feel really good, they feel very attainable, they don't feel like this huge lofty thing that's going to feel really daunting and overwhelming to you. They feel good and they feel like something you can totally do. So thinking about it in that respect, and then thinking, okay, so I have the social media goals. Now thinking about traffic and page views. Like, do you want to have 1,000 page views in your second month of blogging? I think that's a really ambitious, but like definitely solid goal. I would start with like 500 or something like that. But I would say the thing with traffic is making just sure that it's consistent. Like that should be your main goal. Obviously, higher traffic, higher conversion rates, and more page views are what we want. But thinking about how you can maintain that traffic and how you can really, excuse me, I think I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me, sorry guys. I woke up with the sniffles this morning a little bit, but really thinking about how we can maintain this traffic and keep it going. So having those goals. So maybe your goal is just to have 1,000 page views consistently for 6 months. And that's pretty awesome, you guys. Like that's really impressive. So it's not even that much, but it's still pretty solid. So you don't have to necessarily be like, in the third month, I'll have 10 million page views. Like that's not realistic. So we want to keep these goals realistic, but it's kind of like on the cusp of reality, I like to say. So where you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, you're saying you're going to give this your best shot and you're going to try to kind of hit this bold goal while still keeping it realistic. So you're not going to be super disappointed, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's basically everything for step one, becoming a goal setter. I'm going to give you guys one piece of homework per step. So this action item, your piece of homework is to set 3 goals for each category. So lifestyle, income, and growth. They can be big goals, they can be small goals. It's going to be personal to you. Never feel like you have to have these crazy big goals just because other people do, or never feel like you have to have like really modest goals just because other people do. Like pick goals. I would just pick the ones that first come to mind, like when you're writing them down. So I would take out a piece of paper, write lifestyle in one column at the top, income, and then growth. Sorry, I forgot what I was saying. And then write 3 goals and let those be your 3 goals. And then after that, what you can do is you can kind of break them down by a timeline. And you can also do, if you're starting to get overwhelmed, if you're looking at them and you're like, oh God, I have to do this in the next week if I'm going to hit this goal in a month. If it's starting to feel like that, something that my coach also taught me that's really effective is saying, okay, what's the first step? Like, what's the first thing you need to do for this goal? Like, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't be crazy. Just think about, like, what's the very first step that I need to accomplish? Okay, water break, and then we're moving on to step 2. Okay, so for step 2 of the 5-step roadmap to starting your dream blog, I'm going to be talking about setting the foundation. So after we've kind of set these goals and we know what we're aiming for, we kind of get down to really like assembling the pieces of our blog, so to speak. Let me see. Sorry about that. I have a runny nose. Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about is narrowing your niche. And I talked about this in my Build Your Blog 5-day challenge. If you guys were a part of that, I talk about it all the time. So this is obviously deciding what the heck you're going to be writing about, right? Like not only the topic, but getting as specific as possible while still feeling really good about what you're writing about. So, you know, some of you guys will have a really easy time with this. Some of you will be like, I want to write about motherhood because I'm a mom and I love doing DIY crafts, and that's going to be my point of view. And some of you might have a harder time. Some of you might think like, okay, like I have a lot of interests. I love fashion, but I also love organic, you know, food markets. I don't know. That was very random, but that's very specific. I've never seen a blog on that, but there probably is one. So kind of just thinking like, okay, let's sit down. Let's list everything we would want to write about. And again, for some of you, you'll be like, I know what it is. It's easy. I can move on. And some of you who are having a little bit more of a struggle with this, really thinking like, how do these topics fit together? Because some of them do, right? Like if you're like, I love makeup, but I also love clothes. That's not a hard one, right? Like that's an easy blog topic to kind of sync together. Like that would make sense. Whereas if you're like, I'm a dog walker and I love dogs, but I also really love, you know, gardening and fashion, like those things start to feel like a little less cohesive. And I've talked about this before. If you have parts of your life that are important to you that you want to share, but they're not necessarily like the things you're most passionate. So like maybe just use this example, maybe gardening, like that's your thing. You love it. That's what you want to write about. You have so many ideas, But, you know, being a dog walker and loving style and fashion is still a pretty big part of your life, and you don't want to miss out on that. And you want people to know that those two things that maybe you don't write about specifically and directly can still be your point of view and the unique lens that you use to see the world. So for example, like maybe you write a lot about gardening, but you share like personal anecdotes about like what you like to wear while you're gardening, or you know, how your dogs like are always getting into like the garden. I don't know, different things like that. So don't be afraid to like use different parts of your life that are important to you and that make up who you are as the way that you create content. You just might not necessarily write about those topics directly. So that's where getting really clear on your niche comes in. So take some time, sit down, write down all of your ideas, see what feels cohesive. Also see what feels the best to you. Don't just write about something because you feel like it's going to go over well. So like if you love gardening and fashion, but gardening is like the thing that has your heart, but you think fashion blogging just sounds so much more profitable, that's not going to be a great topic for you because you're not going to be super passionate about it and you're just going to be doing it for the wrong reasons. So the best content comes from someone who's knowledgeable and passionate and excited about the topic. So make sure that when you're writing, that's exactly what you're writing about. Okay, the next thing that you want to do is to build your brand. So this obviously comes after niche because you have to know like who you are and what you're writing about and who you're writing for, and really understand who your audience is. So once you have those things down by narrowing your niche, you can start thinking about, okay, it's a two-part thing. So it's like the messaging that you want to send out and who you are and how you want to be identified, and then taking that and translating it through your writing and your visuals, right? So thinking like, okay, I am someone who, again, I'll just use like a mom blogger. So you're a mom, you love DIY crafting, you love talking about like mom style, things like that. But it's basically just like a motherhood sort of blog. So thinking about that. Okay, so that's your messaging, and you advocate for moms not hating on other moms. I'm not a mom, so this is just all coming out of my mouth, so ignore me. Oh, hi, Dad. My dad just liked this. So that's who you are. That's your messaging. You're someone who advocates for, you know, moms supporting other moms. You write about DIY crafts for your children. You write about your experiences through motherhood. That's who you are. So that's your brand. So now we have to translate it through your blog aesthetically and through your writing. So something that would be off-brand is if you obviously were making fun of another mom. Like that's pretty off-brand for you, right? Because that's not where you are. That's not your messaging. That's not who you are. And that would be inauthentic. And then also thinking about like who you're reaching again and who your audience is and who you're serving too. So you have to be really specific and really think about like how you can make some people, like your people, super happy and super excited, and like really forget about the other people who maybe aren't into your content, because that's what a brand is. It's not for everyone necessarily. And of course we want our brands to be palatable and to be, you know, aesthetically pleasing, and for people who stumble across it to be like, hey, I really like this. But you're not going to please everyone, and that shouldn't be the goal with your brand. It should be to be as authentically you as possible and to really truly be a representation of what that person is going to get if they go to your blog. And then to translate that into visuals, you want to, I mean, this is the fun part, right? Because you can really think about what you like. You don't have to think, okay, I have a motherhood blog. What are mom colors? Like, you don't have to think like that. I would think about truly like what you love. Like if you're someone who loves like a chic, glamorous look, and you love the idea of like gold and white and like pops of red, and like that's something that really gets you excited, and that's something that you can stick with and you can use to brand yourself, then do that. You know, it's going to be different for everyone. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly tied to your brand messaging when it comes to fonts and colors. However, if you do a logo or something like that, I would highly recommend kind of, you know, tying in what your brand is all about. Okay, I'm gonna go grab a tissue, you guys, because obviously I'm like Sniffles McGee. I'll be 2 seconds. Thanks for waiting. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, but I didn't want to be gross and annoy you guys anymore with my sniffles. I might still, but let's move on to tech, which I get tons of questions about. I feel like tech is a funny thing because I am not tech savvy. Well, I would say I actually am now. Like I would change, I'm going to change that. I do think I'm more tech savvy than I was before I started a blog. Certainly there's a lot of different programs I'm very comfortable with, but innately I am not a tech person. I am not someone who's like super knowledgeable about that stuff. So it's funny because I totally relate to that experience of being like, awesome, I've got my brand down, I've got all these colors I picked out, I love it, I love this font, this is my blog post, I wrote some great content, I'm feeling so good about it, and then you're like, how do I set up, how do I put that on a website, like how do I do that, and feeling like so overwhelmed, and like how do I get this started, and then you're reading tutorials and you're like, what does this mean, what's a host and a server, where do I go? It's a lot. So I'm gonna upload this tech checklist. Again, I don't have screen share, but I'm gonna upload a couple things for you guys after this that I think you'll find really useful. I should have done it before, but I really thought I could screen share, so that's my bad. But thinking about simplifying it, keeping it really simple. The only things you need a domain, which is your address, it's your name of the blog, right? Which you would have already figured out when you were narrowing down your niche and building your brand. You need to figure out what host you're going to go with. So Squarespace, that's what I recommend for newbies. It's super user friendly. Maybe you're going to do WordPress, which is a little bit more ambitious. That's what I use for my blog, and I found it extremely confusing and overwhelming. Now I'm very comfortable after 6 years, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it if you're brand new and not super tech savvy. So deciding on that, figuring out what platform you're going to use, and kind of just keeping it simple. I mean, everybody's different. So some people love Wix. Some people love just using WordPress.com and things like that. I would recommend using a paid host if you are going to eventually want to blog professionally, because it's just so much more professional to have, for example, my blog is shesmilesallday.com versus what it used to be back in the day, WordPress.shesmiles.com or WordPress.com/shesmilesallday. I can't remember what it is, but it's, you don't own it. There's limitations to like what you can do in terms of monetization. So it's just the better choice. And it's not super expensive in terms of like how much it costs to run my blog, like not including my actual blogging business and my coaching, but my actual blog itself, it's very inexpensive. It's like $50-ish a month. And that's with me having a lot of additional tools that I use that you do not need in the beginning. I think in the beginning I paid like $12 a month to keep my blog up and running, and that's just from paying for my host. So it's not super expensive. If you're looking for a good host, I use iPage, which is super cheap, and that's why I used it, because I was in college at the time and I was like, I have no money, I'm going to use this one. But I love iPage. I have never switched. I always thought I would eventually when I, was not a broke college kid, but I've never wanted to switch. They have great customer service. They respond really quickly. I very, very rarely have any issues with them. So personally, I would recommend them for a good host, and I would recommend Squarespace if you don't want to go through WordPress. And Squarespace is kind of everything wrapped up in one. It's a host. You can get your domain through there, so you don't even have to do a separate host or anything like that. It's a lot easier. But essentially, the host is just where, who's facilitating your blog, essentially, if that makes sense. But the Squarespace has everything there. You can build your blog. It's all there. It's super, super easy. So that's what I would recommend for tech stuff. But once you have that up and running, then you just have to create your website. And again, I'm not even sponsored by Squarespace. I promise you guys, I just really highly recommend it. So I'm going to talk about it a lot. But Squarespace has so many different templates. It makes design super easy. And what I liked to do when I was kind of brainstorming what I wanted my blog to look like is I used Pinterest boards, and I kind of created a mood board of different colors and fonts, and I got ideas, and it was really fun. So you can do that too when you're in that building your brand phase where you're kind of deciding what everything will look like, and then use that to help kind of create and shape your template and what your website's going to look like. And I would say above all, like the most important thing is just to make sure the navigation is easy to follow. If you have a ton of different tabs here and there, it can be really confusing. So start out simple. You need an about page because they need to know what you're about and what the blog is about. Your about page, I forget what the statistic is exactly, but it's a very high percentage. Typically it's the second page that people go to on any website is other. So it's home, and then it's the about page. So it's important that you have that there and you have something quality written, not just like, hey, this is me Enjoy. So you need an about page. If you have multiple categories, I would have a categories tab that drops down where you can pick that. Or if you have just like two, like maybe it's home, about, contact, so people can reach out to you, and then beauty and lifestyle, or beauty and fashion, or gardening and motherhood. I don't know. If you only have a couple, then you can just use that all. But if it's getting to the point where it's not going to fit, I personally have a category and a drop down because I consider myself a lifestyle blogger. So I write about dating sometimes. I write about fashion. I write about beauty. So I have a drop down category menu. So one thing I would say in terms of advice for tech is to just not get so wrapped up in it. I know it's frustrating and it's irritating, and you guys are more than welcome to tag me in the group or here if you have anything off the top of your head with any questions you have. I am more than happy to help. I also have a ton of free resources that I've supplied you guys with in the past that have a lot to do with tech. And I'll put that tech checklist up there after this masterclass. But my top tip is to just not get so overwhelmed and not to feel so frustrated and not to feel like, you're having these roadblocks and you can't continue, and to not be a perfectionist when it comes to your website. It's not going to be perfect. My website was not cute. When I first got it up, I was like, thought it was so great, but it was not that great. But I knew that if I just agonized over it and I put all this time and pressure on myself to make it perfect, I would never launch it. It would never go live. So just think about getting something up that you're, moderately happy with, and then you got to let it go and you got to move on and just start publishing, because you can always go back and edit. You're always going to be getting better with the tech stuff and the website design. And after you start earning money, or, even before, if you want to, you can always hire a website designer, which obviously is great, but I don't think necessarily at all. I think this is something that you can definitely DIY. You cannot DIY everything with blogging, but this is something you can, especially with websites like Squarespace that make it so easy for you. So you just got to get your website set up. You got to decide on a name, buy that domain, pick a host. I recommend Squarespace, like I said. If you want to do WordPress, I would use iPage as your host. And then you just need to create your website, which you can do rather easily when it comes to Squarespace. Again, I feel like I'm like a big ad for Squarespace, and I'm not, but I just really like them. Okay. So the next thing that you want to do in terms of setting the foundation is to start creating your schedule. And by that, I don't even necessarily mean thinking about how many times you want to post a week. I'm talking about when you're going to be working on your blog. And this is where consistency comes in, and this is where people really struggle. If you ask any successful blogger, they will tell you that the reason why they're successful is because they consistently produced quality content. It's as simple as that. You can have 2 amazing, crazy good blog posts that are so awesome that everybody loves, but if you only post those and then you wait like a month before you post something new, you've just lost your audience. You can have like the most beautiful pictures on Instagram that are so gorgeous and so pretty and eye-catching and, really interesting captions. But if you have like 10 and you post like every 3 weeks, then you're not going to get a lot of followers, right? Like, people want to know that you're going to be updating your content. So part of that comes with the scheduling factor and actually producing this content, executing those tasks that are required of you to keep your blog up and running. So I would take a look at your schedule, and some of you, this will be easier than others. So thinking like, so if you're someone who has, for example, like a really standard 9-to-5 job, thinking, okay, when do I feel my best in terms of creativity, in terms of writing? I'm going to do all of my writing on Sunday mornings. Maybe it's for you. When would it be a good time for me to take pictures? Like, maybe you do fashion, maybe you just need to take a couple pictures here and there. Maybe you don't even take pictures. Maybe you don't have like a heavily photography focused blog, and you're just going to need to source like a cover photo using a stock image. Like, when are you going to do that? For some of you, that's going to take a lot less brain power. It does for me, at least. Like, writing like really takes a lot of energy out of me, whereas finding pictures or taking pictures, not so much. So I can do that at a time where I'm a little bit less energetic, and that's fine. Whereas writing, I have to be in a good mood. It has to be in the morning when I've just woken up, and I'm a morning person, so I just feel the most refreshed and ready to go. So kind of getting creative with that and saying like, okay, going forward, I'm going to commit to working 2 hours on Sunday mornings. I'm going to do Tuesday evenings, and Thursday evenings. And maybe it's just that. You don't have to, I'm not telling you have to have a 40-hour blogging gig here. That's crazy, especially if you're working, which you guys probably are, or if you are in school, or if you're a mom, or if you're doing all three. Oh my God, you're Superwoman. But really thinking about like, what can you do? What's going to feel good for you? What's going to feel realistic and manageable, but that you can stick to? You know, don't make the commitment and then have moments where you're like, no, I'm just going to watch some TV and watch some Netflix. Like, don't do that. If you're going to commit to it, especially if you're only doing it a couple hours a week, like, you can do that, right? And it's going to feel so good when I have a consistent schedule. It is so awesome because I know that everything is taken care of. It's like budgeting your finances, right? If you go into the month blind and you don't know how much money you have and you don't know what is for what, you're just spending kind of blindly, you're going to find that there are certain things that you can't afford because you didn't think ahead of time. You use that money for something else. The same is true with our time. We just have to budget it, right? So if we don't plan out our schedules and we're just like, I'll try to fit in time for me to blog at some point, and then you just never do, it's not going to happen because you don't have time for it all of a sudden because you haven't looked ahead. You've been going through your week blindly versus saying like, okay, I'm going to budget 2 hours at this time to plan out my editorial calendar. I'm going to budget an hour at this time to edit all of my blog posts for the next 2 weeks. Thinking in those terms and like really committing to those times, it's going to ensure that you always have time to get things done. Same thing with money. Let's see. May says guilty. I get it. I'm guilty too. I still do it. You guys, I do this full time and I still struggle because I have another business and I have freelance clients and I have other things that I do as well. Because I'm a big believer in multiple streams of income, and I also struggle, and you know, it's hard. It's really hard, but I will tell you that when I am consistent and when I am producing content consistently, my income goes up, my growth is through the roof. Like, it's a dramatic difference. Whereas when I'm less consistent and then I start noticing those things dropping, like the only difference between you and a wildly successful blogger is consistency. It's the truth. When you're consistent in anything, you're going to find great results. Okay, so creating the perfect schedule. So sit down, take some time, map it out. And again, like I said, some of you may have that standard 9 to 5. For those of you who were like me or who are like I was, my schedule in retail was different every single week. I never had a consistent schedule. So that meant that I had to be a lot more planful. And I had to sit down at the beginning of each week. I usually did Sunday nights, which is still my planning time, which I love. I have a glass of wine and some snacks and it's super fun. And I sit down, or I would sit down and I would plan out the next week. And I'd be like, okay, I'm closing this night, so I have to do some stuff in the morning, or this night I have to do an overnight shift, so I'm going to be really tired the next day, so that's not going to work. So if you have a schedule like that where it's different every week, sit down once a week and really plan out when you're going to get things done. I like to use a master list as well, and that's just a list of literally everything, which at first you're like, it's super overwhelming, but then you can kind of start plugging in those different items and thinking like, okay, well, I need to get this done by here, and then you take them all off the list. They're all assigned to a certain time throughout the week. Feels a lot more manageable. And then finally, for step 2, your editorial calendar, which I will show you mine. I did a video when I got my content planner, which again, I am not sponsored, but I love it. So your editorial calendar, I'm going to show you what mine looks like. And you guys don't need to use this like fancy one. I just got it, or my dad gifted it to me because he's a nice man actually. And I told him I had to have it. And he was very sweet, but it's, here, I'll show you what mine looks like. Ooh. So this basically has all my content. I color coded it because I'm a freak and I love color coding things. I have stickers for my different blog posts. So basically every day I have written down like what post is going live, what Instagram photos are going live, if I'm going live here in the group. I have all of my content out. So you guys can use just like a digital calendar, like your Google Calendar. You guys can also use a traditional calendar or a planner. I just got this. I recently upgraded and I love it. So if you are interested in it and you want to spend the money on it, I think it's like $60, which is kind of outrageous for a calendar, but it has a lot of cool tools in there. So I did it. But you're essentially building your bird's eye view to kind of see, okay, like when does this go live? Like when do I want this post to be? You can balance your content a lot easier and kind of understand like, okay, I did so many fashion posts and I'm a fashion lifestyle blogger. That's me. I need to mix it up with some lifestyle. Like I'm going to rearrange these things. You can look ahead at important events like Christmas, or like holidays, things that are really relevant, or maybe they're specific to your niche. For me, like New York Fashion Week is a big one. So kind of understanding like what content you can create around that. And that way you're not like, seeing all the other bloggers in your niche writing this great content about this topic that people really want to know about, and you're like, oh, I forgot this was happening because I didn't plan ahead. And you can get really planful. And this is when you can decide how many times you want to be posting a week. I would recommend at the very least once a week, just for consistency. If you want to do more than that, that's great, but don't overwhelm yourself. I think quality over quantity is huge here, but you do want to be doing it at least once a week to create consistent growth. So to recap, you want to narrow your niche, understand who you are and who you're serving. You want to build your brand to reflect that niche. You want to take care of the tech, the back end. You want to create an amazing schedule that feels really good for you and that works with your lifestyle. And then you want to create your editorial calendar for the month. Okay, so your action item, your homework for step 2 is to take a couple hours to kind of plan all this out. I know it was a lot of information. Again, feel free to go back and look at step 2 that I just went over, but I want you guys to take time to sit down and start answering these questions of like, what is my niche? Who is my audience? Who am I serving? Like, what are their pain points? Like, what are the things that they need help with? What struggles are they going through that I can write content for? And then thinking like, okay, what do I need to do tech-wise? What can I do in terms of scheduling in your editorial calendar? So sit down and just plan it out and start kind of answering these questions. Okay, flipping the page, having a sip of water, and then we're going to move into step 3. Okay, let's see. So step 3 is creating killer content. So there's a couple things that come into play here, and it's all about just making sure that the content that you're creating is really quality. And for some of you guys, like, you want to blog because you're a writer, right? Like, that's how I feel. Like, I'm a writer at heart. Above all, when people ask me what I do, I don't even necessarily say a blogger. Usually I say I'm a writer. I have a blog and I write for other magazines, and I say things like that. So if that's you, you're probably like, oh, well, like, my content's going to be great. But even if you're an amazing writer, there's still a couple things that you want to keep in mind that are really going to elevate your writing and make sure that people see it, which is pretty important. So the first thing is kind of finding your voice and understanding like what structure you want to go with. And the finding your voice part thing, I did a video on this before, but I write the way I talk. If you ask anybody who knows me personally, who's read my stuff, they'll be like, I can hear you talking when I read it, which I think is a really good compliment because that's what I go for. Like, I really want it to be conversational and personal. Depending on the topic or the content matter, you guys might not want to be super conversational. It might be something more formal. It's going to depend, but what I would do is just like literally free write, and don't think about like, how does this sound? Like, is this weird? Like, just free write your posts and then go back and edit, and you'll organically kind of find this like vibe and this voice that is really authentic to you. So finding your voice isn't necessarily like this big production. Like, you already have it. It's already inside of you. You just have to learn how to not alter it based on, you know, thinking that other people aren't going to like it, or making sure that everyone's going to like the way that you talk, because not everyone is. Like I said, that's why you have a niche. Not everybody's going to like it. So just move on. It's okay. And then in terms of blog post structure, like, just think of like, what's your style, right? Like, and this will evolve over time. Like, I used to literally just like type up my stuff and just post it, and I was like, okay, looks pretty good. And now I do a lot more paragraphs because I want it to be more readable. I don't want people to see this like huge dump of words on my blog and be like, whoa, I don't want to read that. That's really long. So I use a lot of paragraphs. I break it up with images. Hi, Toyin. Thanks for hopping on. I use a lot of images. I use a lot of graphics. I break it up. I do a lot of like 10-step kind of posts where I can kind of break it up into steps. I do a lot of headers, and you can really get creative with it and kind of decide what your style is. But I would say kind of picking a structure that feels like your style and feels good to you, and you could totally experiment too. I would say it's most important that you're at least, like I said, breaking up your writing so it's more readable, and it doesn't feel so text heavy. So using, like I said, images and graphics is a great way to do that, or headers, and lots of paragraphs, because otherwise you may have the best blog post in the world that people would love, and you also might have the best marketing, so someone will actually click on whatever it is you're using to market, get to your blog post, get super excited about it, and then see that it's really long and it's just words. So there's nothing on it, and they might be deterred. They might not necessarily look at it. So it's important that we're keeping that in mind, and kind of find a structure that you like. And you can look at other blogs. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of like using, not not that I'm implying that you guys would go to another blog and steal their ideas. You can definitely use that to brainstorm, but I still am not like a huge fan of it, because even subconsciously you may start doing something that doesn't feel authentic to you. But if you don't have any idea what you want to do, you can also like check out your favorite blogs and kind of get some ideas that way. The next thing obviously is SEO, which I feel like every new blogger hates. They're like, what is this search? I don't understand the engine. It's a lot. And obviously, I'm sure you guys know what SEO is. It's search engine optimization. It's just ensuring that your posts are ranking higher in search engines. So sounds simple, a lot of different factors. It's an evolving topic. There's always new information coming out. I'm always researching it, and I'm like, oh, that's what I need to be doing now. Wow. But the simplest way to get started is just really focus on your keywords. And keywords are obviously the words that you think your reader will search for on Google, for example, in relation to your topic. So if you're writing about like a delicious pumpkin pie recipe for Thanksgiving, then like the keywords you would want to use are delicious pumpkin pie Thanksgiving, things like that, which sounds really obvious, but like, wouldn't that be what someone would search for? And you can get more specific. If your pumpkin pie is like vegan, then vegan pumpkin pie, like things that people will actually be searching. And again, this is why it's important to be very specific and very narrowed in terms of niche, because if you like, for example, like I'm a fashion blogger, right? So if I post something, sorry guys, I'm gonna blow my nose. Ugh. If I write something for spring, like if I do spring shoe trends and all I put is spring shoe trends, like that's specific, but it's not that specific. Like maybe I could use, I would probably go and research keywords using Google or Pinterest to kind of get better ideas. So maybe I do spring spring sandal trends or something like that, or like the hottest spring shoe trends for spring, the hottest like heeled sandal trends for spring, something like that. So getting as specific as possible if you can. Like obviously you would never just be like fashion trends. That makes no sense. That is so vague that is not going to help you at all. You want people to find you essentially. So I would focus on your keywords. And if you do have WordPress, I know I've mentioned this a lot before, they do have a really cool plugin called Yoast. It's Yoast. And you can put in your keywords that you want to use, and it will literally like read your blog post and be like, hey, change this, change your title, move this here, add more images. You need to add a meta description. You need to add like text to your pictures. Like it'll tell you everything you can do to make it way more SEO friendly. And it also tells you everything you can do to make it more readable, which is kind of what I was just saying, like the structure of the post and visually making it a lot more appealing to your audience. If you don't have it, WordPress, my apologies, but if you do, Yoast is a really good tool. And I know that there's other articles out there that will kind of teach you how to use, to apply the principles in Yoast to your blog post if you don't use WordPress. Twain says, I loved using Yoast when I had my WordPress site, but now I have Squarespace. I'm never sure how good my SEO is. It's hard. It's tricky. It is like such a cheat sheet in a way. But I think like it's also good practice. So if you were using it for a while, you probably kind of have some best practices already in mind just from getting used to it. But I would say making sure your title, your keywords are at the front of your title if you can. You're using your keywords several times within your post. You're using it within the first paragraph. Making sure that you're using other keywords that make sense that anybody could search. You are titling your images with the same keywords, like wherever you can put them there. So that's like a very simple way to explain SEO. It's a very simple tactic. Like that's just like really scratching the surface. There's so much more you can do, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys something simple for beginners. And for those of you who are like, I'll just skip it. I mean, you're missing out on organic traffic, so I would not skip it. I think that it's a hugely critical part of growing your blog. Twain says, that's true. I do remember a lot from the checklist of Yoast. Yeah, it is super helpful. And some of the things I listed, like, again, I learned all through Yoast, so I can even list a couple things. Maybe, you know what I'll do, you guys? I will make a note of this so I don't forget. I'm going to take a screenshot of I'm going to write this down. I'm going to take a screenshot of one of my blog posts with the Yoast, and I'll just like find one I'll find an old one that's not good. That's what I'll do. And I'll show you everything that's wrong with it, and you guys can use that. Okay. Let me write that down so I don't forget. Take a screenshot of Yoast. And that's good too, because I really recommend, this is a little bit more advanced, but going back to old blog posts over time and kind of checking them for SEO opportunities and seeing like, okay, like I have so many blog posts that are sober started and I had no idea that I was going to ever want to do this professionally. So sometimes I'll go back and I'll be like, okay, we need to fix this. Like there's so much more I can do. And I edit them and I add in great keywords. So that'll be good for me to do. And I'll take a screenshot for you guys. Okay. The next thing in terms of creating killer content is pictures, right? Like images, visuals, graphics, things like that. And as I mentioned before, not everybody is going to have like a super photography heavy blog. Like if you're a fashion blogger, a beauty blogger, if you do cooking, stuff like that, you need to have pictures of the things you're doing. If you're someone who writes about pop culture, like maybe you won't need as many pictures that you have to take personally. You can get yours offline. If you're someone who's writing, business advice, again, you probably don't really need any pictures. You can just get some stock photos. But either way, there's some really easy ways to kind of up your photography skills or your, the quality of your images without having to go buy a super expensive camera. So I take a lot of my pictures on my iPhone. I do have a Canon and I love it. And I do that for most of my shoots, but oftentimes like my pictures are from my iPhone. If you guys have a smartphone, like that camera is more than enough, especially with editing apps. I use apps like Afterlight and I never know how to say it. Is it VSCO cam or is it Visco? I always want to say Visco. I don't think that's correct. I think you guys know what I'm talking about though. It's popular. I use Facetune. There's like a ton of different things you can use that will, improve the quality of the image, which was probably already a pretty good image if you take it on a smartphone. Like any of those cameras are pretty solid. So don't think that you have to go get a photographer. You can literally take your own pictures. I use a tripod all the time, or have your mom do it, which I also do, or your friends, things like that. You do not have to buy a super fancy camera, but I do think that there's something to be said about editing your photos to kind of increase the brightness, making sure they're really crisp, making sure you're not using dark photos or ones that are blurry. Like make sure you are taking care of choosing images that really represent who you are. And I mean, honestly, like the image really is worth 1,000 words. Like that's what's going to get people to click on it. Like for Instagram, like it's all images. If you have really like nasty photos, not nasty, that's a little much, but if you have really low quality photos on your Instagram, like I'm not going to hit follow because I don't like your pictures. It's all a visual platform. If I'm looking through blog posts or you link me to your blog post and I go and they're like really terrible, blurry, dark photos, I'm not going to be super interested in reading it. It looks less, lower quality. Your blog looks like a lower quality blog. So taking care of making sure if you do take your own pictures that you are editing them if they need it, using a few simple tweaks like Afterlight. I use that to kind of I sharpen the photos, I add a filter to a lot of them, I increase the brightness, I make sure that they're very crisp and exciting and like very eye-catching. So using apps like that is a great way to increase the quality of your photography without having to break the bank. And then you can also use stock photos too. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't use stock photos at all personally. Like I would rather just take my own, but that's not because I think there's anything wrong with them. I'm just a control freak, so I take all my own photos. But there's so many websites that have free ones, or you can pay, but it's not super expensive. And you can find photos that are truly gonna match what you're trying to create content for. So those photos are already gonna be professionally done. Those ones are gonna be really crisp. You can add a filter on top if you kind of wanna make it your own, but it's a lot easier, obviously. You'll still want to take time out of the week to kind of source those photos and make sure you find ones that are relevant, because there are, unfortunately, some not so great stock photos, so make sure you're still picking ones that are quality. But if you're someone who's like really overwhelmed with the idea of photography and what you're writing about does not directly relate to photography, if it does not directly require photography, if it has nothing to do with like what you look like or what you're wearing or what you're cooking or things like that, then I wouldn't worry about it and just use stock photos because they're going to look a lot more professional. I will say on your actual website, it's really important that you have a quality photo of yourself. People want to connect with you. They want to see your face. They want to know who you are. And so it's a lot easier, or excuse me, it's a lot better to have like a quality photo of you. I'm not talking about a headshot or anything fancy, but just take like a really nice photo. Like I don't want a selfie. I'm talking about someone being like, hey, like to your friend, like, I love the outfit I'm wearing today. I did my makeup. When we go to lunch today, like, can we step outside first and will you take a couple of photos of me and then do a little mini photo shoot? It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You might even already have a photo of yourself that you really love. make sure it's face on, make sure you're smiling, you're excited, you look friendly, because people are gonna want to read your stuff if they feel like they can connect with you, like they like you and they can see you and they see your face. Like, you know, people read blogs consistently when they resonate with them. And part of that is understanding who you are and not just like reading your words and thinking of you as this imaginary person. So show your face. Toyin says, I like to use stock photos for my blog post title image. Yeah, it's a lot easier unless you're doing, like I said, something very specific that you need a photo of. I really don't think there's anything wrong with stock photos. In fact, I encourage it just to take the stress level off. Like I said, I wish I was less of a control freak, because sometimes my blog posts, especially the ones that are about business advice or blogging tips, like I don't necessarily need actual photos. I just need a cover photo for them. And then I'm like trying to scramble to find one I haven't used before, or I'm taking a flat lay of my laptop. And that's obviously, I say it like it's the hardest thing in the world. It's not hard, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I would recommend doing stock photos if that doesn't sound like an appealing thing to you. Then the next thing about creating killer content is it's not just all about your blog, right? We want to leverage social media. And I have a lot of opinions on social media. I do not at all. And I say this all the time. I feel like I could put it on my gravestone. It is not the end all be all of blogging. If you don't have a huge social media following, that doesn't mean that you can't be a successful blogger. However, it is a really useful tool and it's free marketing. So we want to take advantage of it. But that means that you have to be really mindful and intentional with the content you're creating for social media as well. You can't have these high quality blog posts and these amazing pictures and then just like throw whatever, whenever up on your social media. Especially if you're using your social media to get people to go to the blog, they're going to see what you're posting on your profile and think like, I'm not that into this. I don't want to look at her blog because I'm sure it looks the same, right? Like, so you have to make sure that the content you're creating for your social media is just as high quality. So again, thinking about photos that are very crisp and clean and eye-catching, that are interesting, and this can be really fun too. Like, I am not a photographer by any means or a creative director or anything like that, but I have a really good time kind of getting ideas for like what kind of photos I want to take and understanding like how they want to look. And, you know, when I do have a friend or my photographer help me out, it's always nice to kind of have their input and we kind of work together to create some really cool images. So have fun with that. But thinking, you know, and again, you can also use stock photos as well. But thinking about how you can not only use your social media to promote your blog. So like, hey, like this is up on the blog, go check it out. But also thinking like, what about those in between posts? Whether you're doing Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, like what about that in between content that's kind of introduce new followers to you and your brand and your blog. So you basically want to think of every single thing you post as your first impression, and you want it to be a good one. So if you're posting things, like I said, that are low quality images, that are captions that have nothing to do with your blog, like if you're, I mean, it also very much depends on the social media platform, right? So for Twitter, for example, like you don't necessarily only have to post things about your blog. Like Twitter is very much conversational. It's funny. It's you sharing your thoughts on like a variety of different topics, whether they're related to your blog or not, but you can still leverage it to talk about your blog. Whereas Instagram is much more curated, I feel. And I would find it very odd for someone to have this amazing brand and maybe it's all about eating clean, and maybe they're a vegan and they like post vegan recipes. And then like they also post like some blurry weird photos of like their dog, I don't know, or like the new things that they got for their dog. Like that feels very off-brand for me, and that doesn't feel super cohesive. Whereas if they had like a really clear, crisp, once in a while photo of their dog, you know, maybe like in the background while you're cooking, like that is so much more relevant to your brand and to your blog. So thinking about that, like again, like I said about the niche thing, you don't have to hide these other parts of your life that are important to you and feel like I am this type of blogger, so that's the kind of content I'm going to write and I will never share other parts of me. I'm not telling you have to do that. What I am saying is that being a little bit more creative, trying a little bit harder, and putting more time and effort into the content you're creating for social media. So you're including these other parts of your life that make you who you are and make you relatable and authentic, while still maintaining your brand image and, you know, feeling very aligned with the messaging that you have been sharing on your blog. I hope that makes sense. Okay, and then finally, thinking about how you can create variety into your content. So obviously you're like, well, what do you mean? I am a blogger, so I will post blogs, which is true, of course. Writing is going to be your number one thing, but I highly recommend using things like video if you can. If you do decide to do a Facebook group like the one that I have, going live, creating really cool graphics with websites like Canva, and just kind of spicing it up so it's not all just text. Toyin says, I recently took an Instagram challenge and the host suggested choosing 5 pillars of your brand to post about on Instagram, and that was really helpful to me. I totally agree. I don't know if I didn't do a challenge, but I saw someone doing something similar. And I think that's a great idea. A lot of people tell you that some of your posts should be educational, some of them should be inspirational. But yeah, I do like the idea of like kind of having like 5 categories of the type of content you're going to produce on social media and rotating them. And you can kind of always brainstorm too and be like, oh, this would be a really cute post for an inspirational post. Like, I'm going to schedule this later. So thanks for sharing that. I think that's a great idea. And then for the variety thing, yeah, like I said, like if you want to do YouTube videos, like think about your interests. Like, I'm not saying if you hate the thought of being on video, if it like literally sends a shiver down your spine, you don't need to create YouTube videos. But if it's something you're open to, like, why not, right? You can put those on your blog. You can use that as free marketing. Again, YouTube's great. People are always searching YouTube for things, and kind of just creating a really inspiring, entertaining, interesting point of view on your blog where you have content that has variety, that's not always the same, that's exciting, and that's really thoughtful. So thinking about how you can kind of mix it up versus just writing blog posts without any personality ever, if that makes sense. I'm sure they have plenty of personality, but you guys know what I mean. Okay, so that wraps up step 3. So your homework or your action item for that is to create 5 to 10 blog posts before your launch, which you guys are probably like, what? But using all of the advice I just gave you in terms of creating killer content, I want you guys to think about how you can create this content ahead of time. You need to have blog posts already up on your blog when it goes live. I've said this before, I'll say it again. You cannot have a blog launch and then have someone go to your blog and have nothing there. That makes literally no sense. So making sure, I honestly recommend 10 to 20 blog posts. I think that would be better, but I know that's a lot. So 5 to 10 is going to be, May, you're like, no. But if you're hyping up this blog and you're like, I have this new blog, it's so awesome, and you have this great social media, and you have this marketing strategy, and you've been telling everyone about it, and then they go, and there's one post, or there's no post, then they're kind of just like, okay, she doesn't have any content on here. And subconsciously, they're probably not going to come back unless they're your friend or something. Like, if I'm just like a random person who stumbles across your blog, like, I'm hungry for information. People want to find more of things they like. So if they look at something, they're like, this is a beautiful website, but there's nothing on here, then they're going to not come back because they know that they don't think you post regularly. They think that the website's not real. They think that there's nothing on it. They don't think it's a website that's up and running. Just because it's live doesn't mean it's up and running, you guys. So make sure that you have content up there. If you already have posted, which it looks like that's why you put that face, May. If you've already have your blog up and you only have 1 or 2 posts, don't beat yourself up or feel terrible. This is not the end of the world, but we got to get some more content on there. And maybe that means that you take the next couple weeks to focus on your content versus your marketing strategy, which is fine because you're not really marketing anything anyway because there's nothing on there. So don't feel like this is the end of the world. I don't have anything on there. I'm a huge failure. You guys aren't. You guys are great. So maybe instead of focusing so hard on getting people to look at your blog, let's get some content up there first. Aim for 5 to 10 posts, I think, especially if you have a kind of umbrella niche like I do. I would say lifestyle is the main umbrella, and within that I have fashion, I have beauty, I have food, etc. Having a blog post that kind of represents each different facet is going to be really important. And those are really the first impressions, right? Like those are kind of what's setting the tone for all of your future blog posts. So making sure that if someone goes and they see these blog posts, they're like, okay, this is what I'm going to get when I come back. Okay, let's see. So that's your action item for step 3. Okay, step 4 is all about growth is the goal. So this is an important factor. In fact, it's like probably the most important thing. Like I said, you don't do anything with blogging if you are not growing, if you are not building an audience, if you are not getting, increasing your traffic. So this is an important topic. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Sorry, I'm like literally, a snuffleupagus, like so sniffly, but I have allergies, my bad. Okay, so the first thing is obviously thinking about your social media strategy, and something you'll hear from a lot of people, something you've heard from me, is being, again, very intentional. I'm going to be reusing this word a lot about how you're representing yourself on social media and what social media you're using. It is very overwhelming and unwise to dive in and have 13 different accounts. Don't do that. You're not going to find or like get any traction on any of them if you're trying to post on Facebook, and I'm trying to do YouTube, but I'm also trying to do Instagram and Twitter, and like all of the things. You don't have to do that. Pick two. In fact, pick one if you can, or 1 to 2. Don't do any more than that. If you want to do something later, like obviously you can do that down the road, but right now really focus on growing that audience there and think about, where does my audience live? For me, it's fashion, it's images, it's lifestyle. Instagram is where I live. So I have a Twitter. I do not use that Twitter. I have like 100 followers on there. My Instagram has over 20,000. So I don't think that my audience necessarily lives on Twitter. I think that's a second thought for her. My audience is all about the visuals. She's very inspired by beautiful clothing and cool pictures and like being a part of my life and like seeing me. Whereas Twitter, like she may follow me there and like think like, oh, Sheila's funny, hopefully, but she's not going to connect with me in the same way because that's not the kind of content I have. So for me, Instagram makes sense. And then obviously I use Facebook here in the group for my blogging business. And this feels really good because we can all kind of hang out and connect, and I can go live, which is super fun. So picking just two that feel really good. And then starting to think, okay, like you kind of do like almost your own editorial calendar for your Instagram. I mean, or for your social media. I use this for everything, and I think you should do that too. Don't feel like you have to have 12 planners, but starting to think like, okay, what's my strategy? I'm going to post twice a day to Instagram every single day, or once a day. I'm going to, like maybe Toyin said, do the 5 pillars and have different types of content ready. I'm going to plan it all out and have it scheduled ahead of time. Like, those are the questions and those are the ideas you want to start thinking about in terms of social media strategy. And then you can do things like having an Instagram challenge or having a Facebook challenge or going live every single day to celebrate the launch of your blog. Get creative. Think of some sort of online event you can do to kind of start getting people interested and start getting people to follow you, and thinking about like how much you contribute. You have to seek out your community. You can't wait for people to come to you. Hashtags obviously are huge. You want to be using hashtags, but that doesn't guarantee you're going to get this huge influx of followers all of a sudden. So making sure that you are actively engaging and searching hashtags yourself so you can find people to follow that are within your community and that are interested in the same niche that you're writing about, and following them, writing them, commenting, being very genuine, liking their photos. That's how you get people organically to follow you back. Different things like challenges and consistently promoting, posting content also is going to help a lot, but actively engaging, there's nothing like it. So I personally take like 10 to 15 minutes every single day where I'm just following people. I'm just commenting on people's pictures. I'm just liking people's pictures. I don't even like respond to comments on mine because, well, for Instagram, you need to respond like within an hour for the algorithm to like you. So that's a whole other thing. But I only exclusively use that time to find new people to follow. And I would say like 9 times out of 10, get those people to follow me back just from being like really interested and genuinely, excited about the content they're producing. And I follow people I like. I don't follow like randos. Like I'm not going to follow like some guy who's like really into motorcycles, because guess who is not really into motorcycles? Like I'm not going to do that just so he'll like follow me back. That makes zero sense. I want my content, I want my feed to be filled with people who inspire me, with content that is relevant to me, but also content I want people who follow me to actually find my content relevant to them. So man on a motorcycle would probably not love my fashion posts, whereas, other fashion bloggers or women who love lifestyle and travel, like those people will follow me back, if that makes sense. So thinking about that in terms of social media strategy. And then the next thing is my favorite form of marketing. I bet you guys know what it is. Hello, Pinterest. If you guys aren't on Pinterest, what are you doing? You got to get on there. It's huge for blogging. It is everything you need and more. I'm obsessed with Pinterest. I do not consider it social media. So if you have 2 other social media platforms that you're using, you should still be using Pinterest as well. It's a whole other animal. I don't even consider it social media just because it's so huge for marketing. I mean, it's free. Isn't that crazy, you guys? It's free. You can create a pin, post it. it'll directly link to your blog, and it's basically like creating an ad essentially. And you get to design it, and it's totally free. Of course, there's a lot more strategy to it because you want people to actually see it. So using things like group boards and making sure that you're having really keyword rich descriptions, things like that are going to help you out. But Pinterest is going to be huge for you guys. If you're not on it, it's an amazing way to increase your traffic. That's where like 90% of my traffic comes from. So you're spending time every day pinning and repinning. You can do it for just 10 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be a huge thing, but it does take some time, I would say, to apply to group boards. And, you know, the cool thing about a group board is that there's way more people following it, so more people will see your pins. So it takes some time to get that set up, but once you have that all set up, you can just take 10 minutes a day pinning and repinning your old pins, and you're going to be set. I highly recommend switching to a business profile so you can have access to analytics, and you can have rich pins, which are just pins that have your website link on it. They just look a lot more eye-catching and professional, but it's definitely worth it, and that'll help increase your traffic as well. So Pinterest is something that you're going to want to spend some time on. A little water break. Okay. And then email lists, which may seem a little bit advanced for some of you guys, but I honestly think there's no time that is too soon to start an email list. I think it's a great way to kind of create this sense of community with your readers, and down the line, your email list is going to be your highest conversion rate in terms of sharing like a brand collaboration, or if you guys have a you know, a business that you want to start, or, you know, something like that, like a different stream of income that requires you to convert people via your content. Your list on, sorry, I had a little pop-up. Your list is going to be the most effective way to do that. And that's just because if we think about email, like it is not the same as social media. First of all, you own your email list, so there's that. Instagram could disappear tomorrow, and there it goes. There would be all of that. A huge audience for me, it would be gone. Whereas my email list I'll always have. But the people who are like, yes, I like you, I will give you my email, I trust you, like that's a pretty big deal, right? Like not just anybody's going to do that. So you know that those people are genuinely interested in your content because they're allowing you to go into their inbox, which is kind of personal. I know that sounds silly, like to say that it is, but I mean, social media, like with the algorithms always changing, like there's no guarantee people are going to see your stuff. Whereas an email, you know, goes directly to their inbox and that they will see it. Twain says, thanks for the reminder. I definitely need to join some group boards. Yeah, Pinterest is huge. You'll love it. You'll see a huge hit in traffic for you. So yeah, by kind of using list building strategies, whether that's having a free downloadable resource on your blog that people can enter their email and they'll get it sent straight to them, whether it is doing a giveaway where to enter they just have to sign up, different things like that will help build your list. And I would make sure that you have those things like always happening. Maybe not a giveaway because that's kind of crazy, but always have an opt-in, always have like a pop-up where you're like, hey, that pops up on your website. If you do one pop-up and it's set where it just pops up immediately when people go to your website, it's not as obnoxious as it seems. I had one for a while, took it down because it was glitching, but I'm going to redo it. I'm not bothered by pop-ups if it's just immediately when I log onto a website. So it sounds like it would be annoying to people, but I don't think it is. And I actually get a really high conversion rate from them. But you're like, hey, sign up for my email list. You get a ton of cool like VIP content, and you get to see like the latest sales, like whatever it is that's relevant to your niche, leveraging that so people want to sign up and making it feel like very VIP, and then using that group to send them value every single week so they start to trust you and like you and enjoy your content. And then occasionally when you want to pitch something, like maybe you have a new brand collaboration, or like I said, you're starting a new business, something like that, you have this tribe of people who trust you and like you, and they eat it up and they read all of your stuff. So an email list is a great thing to have. Again, it's just like social media. It's not the end all be all, but I do think it's an amazing way to create this VIP kind of vibe and this sense of community. And then if you're looking for a server, I use MailChimp and I really like it, but there's a ton of other ones, but I find MailChimp to be very user-friendly. Okay. And then finally for step 4 is guest posting and networking, which can be really, really huge. So obviously guest posting is when you post on someone else's blog or someone posts on yours. Typically I recommend agreeing to do like a joint one. So not just you posting on someone else's, but them posting on your blog as well, just because then you guys can kind of do a cross promotion. Obviously, it's ideal that you are being a guest poster on someone's blog who has a larger audience than you, because you're getting extra exposure. However, if you find someone who has the same or a smaller audience and you love them and you love their content, you would love to be featured on their blog, that's obviously up to you. But the point of guest posting is being able to get exposed to someone else's audience. So you ideally want their audience to be bigger than yours, so you have a lot of new people you can be exposed to. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. I'm a part of a ton of different Facebook groups for bloggers. I did this cool campaign that I started in February. Toyin did it with me with a few other girls. And I just literally posted one of the Facebook groups and I was like, hey, I kind of want to do something about female empowerment and like spotlighting other bloggers. Can like let me know if you guys are interested. And a lot of people were like, yeah, that sounds great. So that's an easy way. Like, people want to guest post, like people want to be featured on other blogs, obviously. So if you make it one of the conditions that you also will be guest posting, then most people will say yes. It's the bigger bloggers that will probably be like a little bit more hesitant. But in that respect, what I would do is I would reach out to a blogger with like a large audience that you like. I would first try to make friends with them. Obviously, like, nobody likes to just be like, hey, nice to meet you, can you do this thing for me? Like, that's not super flattering. So making sure that you're liking their photos, that you are creating some sort of connection with them online. Maybe you email them and you're like, hey, I love your stuff, and it's genuine, it's not fake, and you're being really honest. And then eventually you can email them and be like, hey, I have this post I want to do. I wanted to interview you for it. I know you're super busy, so I can just email you the questions. It's 5 questions. It's super simple. And I really would love to feature you. A lot of people will say yes, because that's very flattering, right? And then they will post to their audience saying, hey, go check out this person's blog because I'm featured on there today. And then you have a huge audience going to your blog. Hello, super genius. So that's another really great way to kind of reach out. But I would kind of immerse yourself into Facebook groups. Honestly, that's a great place to live in terms of like finding communities of people that are doing the same thing that you are and that are looking for advice and looking for other people to connect with. So networking in that respect and kind of just being like, hey, like, let's connect, or let's follow each other on Instagram, or let's work together. Like, I would constantly, like, at the beginning of every month, I would honestly just post in one of those Facebook groups, whether it's a general blogging group, whether it's one for your niche specifically, and just be like, hey, I want to do a collaboration with someone this month. Like, who's down? Like, here's like briefly, like, here's my idea. Let me know in the comments. And so many people will respond. I get tons of people responding to me, and I don't tell them like how big my blog is. Like, nobody knows. Like, people just hear that and they're like, that's a great idea. I want to do it. So guest posting is a great way to kind of build your blogging network, to get to know other bloggers, to cross promote, and to get exposed to a larger audience. Okay, so your homework for step 4 is to create your marketing game plan. So part of that is, like I said, narrowing down your ideas for which platforms you want to be on for social media, deciding if you want to do a challenge or a giveaway or something like that, getting your email list set up, getting your Pinterest set up, and starting to join some Facebook groups so you can kind of network and start getting some guest posts. So that is your homework. And then we're going to move into step 5. We're almost done. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Okay, so step 5, monetize like a boss. So like I said a couple times already, I'm not saying that you have to immediately start making money and that should be the goal, because you're probably going to be disappointed. What I'm saying is that I think that it's an amazing idea to get these systems in place so you already have everything set up. So when it comes time for you to start growing, when you start getting this traffic in, you can automatically start earning an income versus scrambling to get systems set up and in place afterwards, and missing out on some great opportunities to earn some dollars. So the 3 easiest ways for beginners to monetize are through ad revenue, affiliate marketing, and even brand collaborations, which that last one, some of you are probably like, what? But it's true. You can do it even if you're new. So I'm going to give you guys a brief overview of all of them. So for ad revenue, obviously that's just having ads on your website. If someone clicks on it, you get a very small commission for every click. For some of them, you get a very small commission for every purchase. So this is going to be a slow mover for you in the beginning, but eventually it can be a really exciting passive stream of income. So by small commission, I mean like literally a couple cents, typically through like Amazon Associates or Google AdSense. Like, you can get these ads on your website. You can choose the size of the ads. You can choose where, how many you have. You can let them know what kind of content you write about. So they will choose ads that are relevant. If you have a fashion blog, they will not post fishing gear ads. Do not worry. That would be very silly and not make any sense. They want to earn money too, right? So do not worry. You'll have relevant ads, and you can have complete control over how many and where they are on your website. So you don't have to feel like a super spammy ad lady. But it's obviously 100% dependent on your traffic. So that's where the growth focus comes in. But eventually, if you get really solid traffic, like the more people who look at your website, the more people who may click on that ad. So eventually, like as you grow, like that's what I'm talking about, scaling quickly. Like what if you had like a huge influx of traffic one day because you had a post that went viral on Pinterest and you didn't have any ads up and nobody clicked on them and you missed out on making like maybe a couple $100? Like that's pretty exciting stuff, right? So already have it up. They're free to set up. You don't have to pay for anything. So like, why not? So ad revenue, super passive, super easy. A slow mover at the start, but the higher your traffic, the higher your income. The second one is affiliate marketing, which is probably, I would say, my top recommendation for a beginner, which is essentially you becoming an affiliate for a brand or a company, and you just talk about their stuff, and you have a special link that's when you promote it and people click on it, or people purchase the item that it's attached to, you get a small commission. So similar to ad revenue, however, it's not from a specific ad. So you create the ad essentially, like you are the ad. So you have basically like complete creative control for the most part. Some affiliate programs for different brands might have specific guidelines, but for the most part, they're pretty cool with you just doing whatever. They want you to be authentic. They know that that's what people respond to best versus you sounding super robotic and having like a script. So maybe you're an affiliate. Like for me, like I would love to be an affiliate for Drybar. I'm working on it right now because I'm obsessed with Drybar. So that would be something really easy for me to promote. That would not feel like, oh God, I'm being like, this isn't even something I like. I'm promoting something I don't want. And like, I feel super pushy. Like that is not something I would ever feel shy about or weird about promoting because I love Drybar. I talk about them all the time. I've talked about them for years. I go to Drybar. I buy all their stuff. Like it is not hard for me to talk about it because it comes up naturally. So you want to kind of pick programs and brands that make sense. And a lot of brands and companies and services have affiliate programs that you just don't even know about. So you can Google it or search their website or email them and ask them and kind of see. And this is also a great way to kind of pay for your blog in a way. Like you can become an affiliate for Squarespace or something like that. It's a really great idea. If you're someone who's like, I don't want to pay for this, then ask them if they'll, if they have an affiliate program, like whatever host or service, like maybe for MailChimp, like whatever it is that you have to pay for each month, ask if they have an affiliate program. They probably do. And like I said, being a blogger is not expensive when you get down to like the bare bones and like just the bare necessities of keeping your blog up and running. So you having to promote this enough to like earn $12 a month to pay for your hosting subscription is not that hard. Like you can do that, right? So that's also kind of cool benefit of getting into affiliate marketing is you can pay for the services you need to keep your blog up and running. So finally, there's brand collaborations, which are obviously what they sound like. You collaborate with a brand. They're a little bit different than affiliate marketing in terms of they're definitely more of a project, like they are, and they usually have a lot more limitations and guidelines for what they want. So a lot of times brands will say like, we have a specific campaign. We want you to say this. These are the hashtags you can use. And I want you to do 5, Instagram posts and 1 blog post. So they'll have very specific requests for the type of content you're creating. Whereas an affiliate link, you don't have any requirements for how often or how you promote things. You can kind of do it as you please. Obviously, the payoff is a lot smaller. Whereas a brand collaboration, you get paid, depending on their budget, like quite a bit more. However, when you first start out, you probably won't get paid, just to be honest. If you do, that's amazing, but I didn't get paid for a lot of them. I got a lot of free product, which was fine because I used that to build my portfolio and my media kit so I could start emailing and pitching brands and being like, hey, like I have all this experience. I did a great job. You should pay me. I didn't mention that I did those things for free to them because obviously then they would be like, oh, fantastic. You can do this for free. But I don't think there's anything wrong as long as you're choosing again, brands that you like and you're doing these unpaid brand sponsorships in exchange for at least product. I think that when brands are like, hey, like, I'll work with you, but you'll get like a 25% discount in exchange for creating a bunch of content. I think that's kind of dumb. I'm like, I don't want to buy your product that you want me to try and you want me to share with my audience. I think that's dumb, but again, it's up to you. But I do think free product is fine in the beginning. And then especially like in exchange, it depends on what it's in exchange for. If someone's like, hey, can I send you a like free lipstick and will you do 3 1,200 word blog posts and like 17 Instagram posts? No one's ever asked that. That would be insane. Obviously, that does not make sense. That is not worth it. You need to get paid for that time. But if someone's like, hey, here's a free lipstick, can you do a shout out on Instagram if you like it? I think that's totally worth it, especially with the exposure that you may get from that brand if you like it. So that's what I would say about brand collaborations. But honestly, like those are the 3 that I would start out with. But in the beginning, I mean, not in the beginning, over time, you're going to find that there are endless ways to make money through your blog. You can do it. I have a coaching business. I'm going to be writing a book next year, which is super exciting. Like there's so many different things that you can do that stem from blogging that will create multiple streams of income for you, that this is just like scratching the surface. And in terms of brand collaborations, for those of you who are like, I can't do that because I'm brand new, that's not true. I was brand new. I had like 900 followers when I did my first one. And more brands will work with you than you think. Don't focus on your numbers, focus on your engagement. If you can tell a brand like, I have a small audience, but they are super engaged. They love everything that I'm talking about. They're all about it. They are always commenting, like I have great engagement. Then to them, that translates as like you have a high conversion rate and people are influenced by you. That's the whole influencer thing, right? And people will buy what you're selling. So I focus on growing your audience, of course, but also focus on the engagement because that's what you can use to pitch to brands. And don't be afraid to email them. I have a ton of different email templates that I've used over the years, but I just keep it short and simple. And I email brands to this day all the time. And I have brands who email me too, but that doesn't mean that I stop pitching to brands I really want to work with. And it says, ooh, I'm excited about your book. Me too. It is definitely just in the development stage. I don't have a name. I don't have like a structure or anything that's or layout or anything that's like super defined right now, but it's something that's been a lifelong dream. So I feel like 2019 is my year. Okay. So your homework, your last piece of actionable items for step 5 is going to be to pick one monetization method to focus on that you can set up before your blog launch, whether that means you are researching a bunch of brands you want to work with and writing a bunch of email templates that you can send out to start doing collaborations, whether that means you are applying for a bunch of affiliate programs or you are getting your ads on your website. Just pick one. I think that you can do all 3. I think that you should do all 3. Multiple streams of income is always the goal. But for now, just to simplify things, just pick one that you can get up and running for your blog launch or your blog relaunch, or if you already have launched, getting one up and running now. Okay, so I hope you guys found this useful. That was a long one, right? But I really wanted to kind of lay out step by step really what it takes. I know I did that Ready to Launch challenge for you guys, and I did find that I got some good feedback on it, but I wanted to go really in depth into what you actually need to know because there's so much information. It is wildly overwhelming, and I know how hard it can be when you're new and it's frustrating. So I kind of wanted to just lay it all out for you guys. And like I said, if you are on live and you have not commented yet, please let me know because I'm going to randomly pick a winner at the end for those of you who hopped on live to get a free 30-minute one-on-one call with me. So if you are on live and you have not said hello, please do so. Sometimes I miss the comments in here until afterwards. So if you already have and I haven't read your comment out loud, then I will see it afterwards, so do not worry. I'll be doing that probably tomorrow. I have a bunch of stuff to do today, so I'll take a second. If you're watching the replay, feel free to ask any questions as you're watching it. I hope you found this really useful. I'm super excited that you guys were able to hop on with me. And before I go, I do have a super, super exciting announcement. Those of you who've been with me for a second probably know that I had a group program that I launched a while ago called Ready to Launch, and I have recently completely redone it, and it is now a self-led e-course with video trainings with me, obviously, a bunch of digital resources, a bunch of workbooks and worksheets, and a ton of amazing content. But my favorite part about it is that it's self-led, right? So you can do it at your own pace. You can really take your time with it. You can learn the ins and outs of blogging and really understand how you can launch your blog or relaunch and rebrand if that's the phase you're in and you've already had it, but you're not getting the results you want, in a way that is intentional, that is effective, and that will set you up for blogging success so you can actually do this professionally. You can quit your 9-to-5 and start living this super exciting dream. So I wanted to share that with you guys today. I do have May says that's amazing. Yes, I'm super excited about it, you guys, because I did it as a group coaching program, which was really fun, but I felt like it was really fast and I felt like it was a lot of information and I didn't feel good about that. I wanted to be able to give you guys something that was totally self-led, that you guys can have lifetime access to and keep revisiting, right? So you don't have to feel like, oh my God, I have to get all this content written, I have to do this and that. Like, you can go back and really take your time with it. It's a 5-week course, but again, you can take your time with those different modules. You do have some support from me live as well in a super private group. It's super exciting. And all of the modules are based on everything we went over today. So all of these 5 steps are the 5 different modules that we'll go over. So I go super in depth. I kind of just scratched the surface today to kind of give you guys some ideas, but you get the full story, everything that you need to know step by step. You get resources, a ton of screen share and video content where I go super in depth into every single topic that we went over today. And, you know, I mean, you're going to be able to learn from someone who's already done it, right? Like, I spent 6 years crafting this. Like, this is my jam. I have been doing this for a long time. I have learned a lot of lessons, and there's a lot of obstacles that you guys don't have to go through because I've already done it, and I can teach you how to get around them and to overcome the mental barriers, but also like the tactical support that everyone needs, because like I said, is so many new skill sets that you have to learn. So you don't have to deal with all of that BS, to be honest. Like, you can go past it and have a step-by-step guide. This industry is so hard because it's new and there's no like how-to out there. So I wanted to create something that was my version of the how-to in terms of launching or relaunching your blog. So you can eliminate the overwhelm. You can get rid of those long, frustrated nights. If you're in a place where you're just feeling stuck and you're like, I don't even know where to go from here, and I have no inspiration, I have no ideas of what I want to do, this is the perfect jumpstart to kind of get you back on track. Like I said, it's 5 weeks. You can take your time. It's going to get your blog up and running. You're going to get set up so you can start earning an income in at least 3 months, which is super exciting. And yeah, I mean, you're going to be able to work for yourself if that's something that you want to do. So this has been something that has dramatically changed my life. If you had asked me a few years ago if I thought I could ever do this professionally, I would have laughed at you. That's super cheesy, but it's true. I would have thought, how is that possible? I'm 24 years old and I work for myself. I'm my own boss. I am doing the thing that I've dreamt of doing since I was a little girl. I write for a living. I can travel whenever I want to. My income is limitless. There's no limit to how much or how little I can make. And it's just something that's really exciting and something that I think a lot of people want to do, but they're really scared to do. And it was something really scary for me. And I wish I had had something like this that could have kind of led me through the process a little bit more. But I think that this is going to be a really great option for you if you're someone who's in that place. So because I love you guys and I want you guys to have the first opportunity, if you're interested, I am offering free one-on-one calls to all of you guys. They're just 20-minute consultation calls. If you guys need to learn more about the program, if you're like, well, what is this about? Like, if you have questions about me or how it's going to work, I'm going to leave the link in here below so you guys can schedule one anytime you want. And if you schedule them before the 2nd, because the course goes live on April 3rd, cart closes on April 2nd. If you schedule or if you enroll into the course by the 2nd, you get a bunch of free bonuses that I'm super excited about. It's exclusive just to you guys. So the first is a free 60-minute one-on-one call during the course, which is huge. Those are usually around 150 I do for my one-time hour-long sessions. So it's a really good value, but we'll sit down. We're going to go over everything that's specific to your needs, to your blog. I'm going to understand you as an individual, and I'm going to craft a very specific game plan that I'll create in a PDF and give to you after we have our call. So you get that for free for enrolling. And if you sign up for a free call before the 2nd, you also lock in that bonus. So if you don't want to enroll today, but you want to learn more about it, you'll still lock in that bonus if you end up deciding to enroll. You get unlimited email and chat support for the duration of the course. So you guys can text or email me any questions. You can send me links. You can send me screenshots. Like, you can use me to your advantage, essentially. Whereas after this bonus expires, that's not going to be something I'm offering to the other students in the course. And then you also get a free copy of my Build Your Blog in 5 Days Challenge ebook. For those of you who didn't get to do the challenge, it's an amazing way to kind of get set up with the basics of blogging. Like, I'm talking like super fundamentals, like even more so than what we went over today. And it's a great thing to read before you start the course. So like I said, all of these bonuses disappear on the 2nd because the course goes live on the 3rd. I'm super excited. If you are interested in this, if this sounds like the perfect thing for you, if you're ready to stop playing small, if you're ready to take this blogging thing seriously, if you want to do something with intention rather than just like guessing anymore, if you're ready to do this thing, then go ahead and book a free call with me. We can chat about it. You can learn more about the course and you'll lock in those bonuses. Another thing that makes me so excited about this course is that it is the most affordable form of my services I've ever been able to provide. That was another thing that's always been something I've mentioned before that bothers me. Like, I don't want you guys to ever feel like you don't have the solutions you need because you can't afford a super high-end program. Those have their place, and I think that, if I do say so myself, my high-end programs are fantastic, but that's for another level, right? Like, that's not for someone who's brand new, who still needs that guidance. So I wanted to create something that could be affordable for everyone. So it's usually going to be $597, but I'm doing a super affordable $397 as an introductory price with a bunch of payment plan options. So it's basically no matter your budget, you can afford it, you can have access to it, and it's a great way to kickstart your blogging career. Let's see. So like I said, if you're ready to relaunch, if you're ready to launch, if you are stuck in this place where you don't know where to go and you need that guidance and you need that support and you want to become a professional blogger within the next year, then the Ready to Launch course is perfect for you. Like I said, I'm going to leave the links below so you guys can book a free call or enroll if it sounds like the right step for you. And like I said, if you do either of those things by the 2nd, you will lock in that free coaching call, that free unlimited email and texting support, and that free ebook. So thank you guys so much for watching. I've had so much fun. Like you probably already guessed, I am obsessed with going live. I love doing these free trainings and really getting to connect with you guys and support you. So let me know if you have any additional questions. Again, I'll leave those links below, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. Bye.